Hi again, everyone. Welcome into UnAnchoredBoston.com. Mike Lynch along with Bob Lobel will tell you about our special guests in a moment. But first, we are brought to you, as always, by Cold Springs RV, your destination for all things camping. And where? We're in New Hampshire, of course. And the great George Gray, the big wheel we call him, at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. Well, now, this is the 39th anniversary of the Miracle in Miami, and we know that everybody's going to be jumping on the 40th. So Lobel and Lynch, you want to get a one-year jump on everybody. So we've got Doug Flutie, and as always, because I defer to age more than anything else, Lobel does the proper introduction, Doug. So here goes Lobel.
Well, first of all, you're like you're in a getaway car, so I don't know what's with the windshield down and the sheet up in front of the.
I'm hiding in the corner of a baseball complex.
Yeah, I know. It's got to be something to do with sports. Okay, you're in a baseball tournament. That's
par for the course with me. It's unbelievable.
If you're not playing golf, you're in a baseball tournament. And I love the Wakefield hat. That's a great touch.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Tim's was a good friend, and it was so sad in the whole situation, but I wore my Wakefield hat because the team I'm playing with, because they're buddies, right? And it's like, this is the week that Albany Yankees, they wanted me to wear this. All right, no. Boston, they wanted me to wear this. I said, no, I'm wearing my Wake hat. The heck, people.
You cannot wear that hat, Doug, ever. You know that.
No. It's bad enough there's an NY on the jersey. I can't handle it.
Well, I don't know why Mike's here, but I'm here to talk about Nutrigenics. I'm really looking to talk. That's why I wanted to get in touch with you. The career is one thing, the opinions are other thing, but let's get to the heart of the matter. It's all about Nutrigenics. Okay, so
Nutrigenics, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, Nutrigenics, right? Yeah.
It's a testosterone booster that helps you just energy-wise. I know the commercial implies it's an ED drug. It's not an ED drug, which I get a lot of grief from my high school buddies, my old high school buddies. Of course I do. But it's been a great relationship with them and Frank Thomas, and so much fun doing those commercials.
Well, they're fun. They're great to watch. I don't know, Lynchy. You want some, or have you tried it? What's the story?
I could use anything. I turned 70 last month, so I'll take anything. You're in your 60s now, Doug, right?
61. Yeah. I'm playing in the over 45s and the over 50s now. I fought it forever. As far as the baseball tournaments, we always played the over 35 tournament where you get guys that are still throwing 80, 85 miles an hour. Now you get up there and you're just hoping nothing breaks and cracks and guys are throwing slop, but it's a ton of fun. It's so much fun.
I saw you last week. You sent a video. You were playing at JetBlue. It looked like you hit it out of the park because the camera just followed you. But right. You said it was a one hover?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't have the power to knock it out.
Warning track power is called. Warning track power.
Warning track power. That was the best ball I've hit in 25 years. And I can hit the wall at Fenway. I can hit the bottom point, but the wind was blowing in. It hit short of the track, bounced to the wall. I was happy. Trust me. It was like, I don't care if they caught it. That was the best ball I've hit in 25 years.
We are, by the way, before we start, and I got to ask you about the football game, the Monday night football game between Denver and Buffalo. Just a minute. I'll ask you that in just a second. It was a nightmare of nightmares if you're a Buffalo fan. But we are running a poll starting today, which we would like you to participate in. In fact, we're making you participate in under penalty, just under penalty of something. It's on our UnAnchored Boston Twitter account. Okay, UnAnchored Boston Twitter account. The poll is there, and it's a simple question. And you two guys can answer this, and so can I, for that matter, because I don't have the answer. That's why we're taking a poll. Which is the more dysfunctional team at the moment, the Red Sox or the Patriots? It's that simple. Which is the more dysfunctional team right now, the Red Sox or the Patriots? Do you want to take a shot at that, Doug?
Well, it's not the Bruins.
No.
Right now, I don't know about dysfunctional, but in disarray a little bit is the Patriots are frustrated. The Patriots if couldn't stick the ball in the end zone the whole game the other night. Then you're finally in a situation to win it, throw bad interceptions. And I mean, I've been there where just completing a pass feels like an accomplishment sometimes. Other times you're walking the ball up and down the field. So they got a long road. I mean, there were times this year with the Sox where it looked really encouraging. Things started to roll, and then it kind of fell back apart. So we're still looking for a little bit of hope. Right now, the Patriots, we're just looking for some hope.
Lynchy?
You know, I'm with my mom. Like, I get so frustrated with Mac Jones. And then my mother sends me an email after the game. Said, I feel so bad for that quarterback. I feel like he's one of my own sons. I'm going to say a rosary for him. And all of a sudden, all the bad feelings I had for Mac go out the window. And I feel bad for him, too. I just think he's just so confused right now, Doug. As you said, he just doesn't even know what's happening.
I think he's afraid to make a mistake.
Yeah.
So he's a little hesitant. To make play, and I've had my confidence coached out of me before, or had bad things happen, and all of a sudden you're second guessing decision. You got to play free and relaxed and stick it in tight windows when you have to, and you can't do that if you're hesitant. If all of a sudden the last interception, I don't know if there's ever an explanation, but it looked to me like Mac came off the fake, thought he was wide open. The safety got sucked up on the weak side, and he was just going to flatten him out and lob it to him. What happened was all of a sudden the safety was in catch-up mode, put his foot in the ground, started to run back. So the tight end took a deeper angle to make sure he's open. So now you lob it to the back of the end zone. All of a sudden the ball was already thrown. The guy falls back into it, and it looks like you just threw it right to the defender. It just, bad things happen when you're indecisive.
So Lynchy, which franchise is the most dysfunctional, the Red Sox or the Patriots?
Well, I think right now, because they're talking about making a change at the coach, so and then the ownership is, what are they going to do? So I think you'd have to say the Patriots right now, and I thought I'd never say that with this hierarchy in place, but I think the Red Sox, we know what they're about. Okay, we know that Chaim Bloom had marching orders of what he could spend, what he couldn't spend, and now they've got Craig Breslow coming in, another Yale guy, by the way, which I don't like. I think we have to see, is he going to be able to go out and sign a couple of, open up the purse and sign a couple of pitchers? With the Patriots, I just don't see. I mean, I think it's a coin toss every week whether they're going to win or lose a football game.
Well, they play the Giants after the bye week. That'll be an interesting combination. You can only imagine the talk leading up to that. But I'll just weigh in on this myself after listening to both you guys. And I agree. It's a sweep, a 3-0 sweep for the Patriots. It's the first time they've been ahead 3-0 in a long time. Only because the Red Sox, if they wanted to change it, they could by spending money. Patriots are in a different situation. That's why I think the Patriots are much more dysfunctional right now than the Red Sox are, because the Red Sox can fix it. It might not happen overnight, but you know how they can fix it. They can spend money and get free agents and buy talent. It's a little different than the National Football League. So that's just my take on it after listening to you guys. Yeah, I say the Patriots are the more dysfunctional team.
I hate using the word dysfunctional, though, but they're in disarray, no doubt about it.
All right, let me ask you this, Mr. Flutie. Okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Lobel.
All the things. Let you.
Can we get that the record straight? All of us go back to the early '80s together. All right.
Yeah, so best times of all. The best times of all. Early '80s.
Talk about dysfunctional.
We're all dysfunctional.
Well, that's why Nugenics is available.
Hey, Bob, I got to tell you this. Doug's Newmeyer, you sent Newmeyer down. I went down. Doug's first game, his senior year, they're playing at Alabama at Legion Field. And we're all in the field for the Friday afternoon walkthrough before the game. And all of a sudden, somebody comes over. I don't know if it was Barry Gallo, came over to Jack McDowell and whispered something in his ear. And Jack looks at him like, you got to be kidding me. Well, it turns out that Flutie, Gerard Phelan, and Kelvin Martin, I think that was a trio, missed the team bus to practice. And the bus showed up on the complete opposite end of the field, and they had to sprint about 140 yards. And, they went through practice, and then somebody asked Bicknell, is it going to be disciplinary measures? He said, yeah, we're going to fire the damn bus driver.
Gerard,
so what happened that day, Doug?
the Kelvin fell asleep on the bed. Gerard and I are playing chess. All right. So the three of us are sitting there, and the only watch we had in the room was Kelvin Martin's watch. And we figured it was on Eastern time, but he had already set it back an hour, whatever it was. He had already changed the time on his watch. We didn't think he had. So we thought we had another hour. And all of a sudden we heard the bus pull out. And we went sprinting down. I think we got in like a van or something, like the shuttle from the hotel, and got there just minutes behind the bus. But that was, and I don't know if you know Gerard. Bicknell knows that we're not troublemakers. We're not doing something we shouldn't be doing, blah, blah, blah. But we were so scared. Like we'd never been late for anything in our lives, never missed anything, never. And it's funny because, who was it? Keith Jackson asked Coach Bick what he was going to do for discipline.
Fire the bus driver for leaving late.
Fire the bus driver.
I don't know how you feel, Doug, but I thought Bicknell was the best. He was the greatest.
Still is. We had the class 83 had a reunion, which is the year before me. So it was our Liberty Bowl team. And so I went to that with all the guys, and we saw Coach Bick. Tom Coughlin was there. Just a great, I said to both of those two, for me, it was the perfect storm. I had Tom Coughlin, a disciplinarian, coaching me up, X and O's, making me work hard. And then on game day, he was upstairs calling plays, and I dealt with Jack, who was easygoing, wrap his arm around you, forget about the mistakes, remind you that we're wearing maroon, not white. Quit throwing it to the guys wearing white, Doug. He kept me loose and relaxed. It was like just the perfect storm for me.
You guys knew you had a good team, but that opening game, national TV, a Saturday night against Alabama, you guys came back and won that football game. I mean, that had to be a gigantic step, saying like, we can play with the big boys. We can beat anybody.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We went down. We were down 31-14 at half.
Yep.
Actually, they returned the opening kickoff of the second half to make it 31-14. And I watched that game not too long ago with some guys, and our defense played great. We created. Tony Thurman had 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
We dominated that. It wasn't even close in the second half the way we played overall. And we ran the ball on them. It wasn't just a finesse thing. So there was no doubt about it that we could play with anyone. Our defense was a lot better than people remember.
Absolutely.
There's you mentioned some of those names, and it's a whole different world now at your alma mater. But you mentioned some of those names, Tony Thurman, Kelvin Martin, things that go back, even Diassi and those guys, things go back a long way. And those were household names. And now it's a different world now, especially.
I was on campus for the UConn game. It was the day before. It's probably Friday, and I'm walking with someone from the athletic department, and I see 2 athletic-looking guys getting out of a brand new Audi, and I go, "Is that their car?" And she, "Oh yeah." NIL's changed the game. I'm like, "Really?" I look over, they're beautiful new guys. I'm like, "Geez," and then she goes, "Oh, you think that's something? That's the quarterback's car. Mercedes sitting in the parking lot. It's the quarterback's car," and I'm thinking, it's just a different world, Lynchy. I could have been a free agent. My junior year, I finished 3rd in the Heisman. Could you imagine being a free agent right now in college, going front for the Heisman going into my senior year? What are you offering?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have changed my senior year at Boston College for anything in the world. Anything in the world.
Well, you did sign for a lot of money with the Generals. Let's face it.
Yeah, we waited a year. Waited one more year.
It was like the biggest pro contract in pro football ever.
At that time, yes.
Yeah, at that time. That was,
Hey,
you think you could afford a window for your car.
Yeah, the window's there. I was just blocking the sun because it was hitting the screen and flushing me out here.
You're just too smart.
Yellow filter. This is the New York Yankee team. This is their jersey, yellow. They put a duck on the side of their hat. I can't even get this straight.
I see it. Yeah.
It's like, what are you, the New York Ducks?
Funny.
I'm wearing pinstripes, Lynchy.
Pinstripes. But I love you got the 49 hat on. Doug's in West Palm right now. He's playing in over 45 or over 50, Doug?
Over 90.
Over 90. So you're the youngest guy there.
I see the Monday night game, but
I watched a little bit of it. It's over 45, by the way. I didn't really watch it. I don't know. The guys were all at dinner, so I didn't get to watch it. But I heard about the ending and just roll my eyes and shake my head.
It's really kind of unbelievable. I mean, you were in Buffalo for quite a while and started your NFL career there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I rekindled it. Buffalo's a good football team, and they're not playing like their capability. Like, I love Josh Allen. Last year in the middle of the year, I think his elbow was really bothering him, and he fell off a little bit. He plays the game the way I played it, but in a big man's body. He runs hard. He make these laser throws down the field and took the team on his back. And now he's like, for some reason, he seems to be coming up with the big mistakes and having a costly turnover here or there. I still love the way he plays. I like that football team. I can't believe.
Well, it wasn't so much him last night. Well, the 4 turnovers at home. It's going to kill you, but it was the penalties at the last. I mean, how can you have too many men on the field for a second?
There's a coach for every position. There are 50,000 coaches on the sideline. You can't. Who's the guy on the field that isn't supposed to be on the field?
Well, that's what I was asking. Was it the player's fault? Was the coach's fault? Why is there 12 men on the field for a field goal that's to win the game? He misses, and you have to. And because you're on the field, the guy gets a second chance and you lose.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is I heard there wasn't a timeout situation, so it was on the fly. So
yes.
Sometimes defense thinks the defense is going to stay on the field, or do we put the field goal block team on the field? So there's some indecision there. But once you see people sub it in and out, you're off the field. And it's hard to imagine that a coach on the sideline couldn't see it on the fly, with all the such scrutiny over X's and O's and now analysis of data. They can't see that 12 men, 1, 2, count it.
If that would have happened here, how many people would be on the talk shows today talking about coaches being fired, players being shipped out? You know what? Seriously, how can the head coach was under fire anyway? Can you imagine what they're saying in Buffalo right now about him and the special teams coach?
The special teams coach is the guy that's on top of that and has to be. I don't know if I'm sure they probably had it. I don't know. If they had a timeout in their pocket, I blame anybody on the field.
No timeouts. I don't think they did.
For Buffalo?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, if Buffalo didn't have timeouts, then the guys on the field are off the hook as far as, although somebody should have been sprinting for the sideline. But a coach has got to see it.
Nobody was sprinting to the sideline.
When was the last time a Major League Baseball team wound up with 10 defenders on the field?
Never. Only
now, 2 guys have jogged out to a position, I'm sure, and one guy jogged off.
Hockey and football.
Hockey.
Too many men on the ice.
Too many men on the ice. Yep.
Montreal
Absolutely.
Overtime.
You guys
we're old. We remember.
I remember well. Let's go back to that year with Jack McNell, and let's fast forward to the Miami game at the end of the year. You get the ball with 28 seconds to go on your 22, or vice versa, and so you had 2 passes which made it up to midfield. Now, did you call those 2 passes? Did you talk with Jack beforehand? I don't know if Barry was had a hand in any calling at all.
It's so funny that I see, like, especially at the college level, how much time is wasted calling a play during 2 minutes. The clock's running. They're lining up. He's looking at the sideline. He's making I called my favorite plays. When it went 2 minutes, Jack, Tom Coughlin, Barry, well, Tom wasn't there then, but Barry, go, Doug, it's yours, go. I had in mind what I wanted to do. I called 2 seam routes because I wanted to try to hit Troy Stratford, hitting up the seam and maybe hit it running. Ended up, I put it in the window and Troy caught it going to the ground. But as long as you get the first down, the clock stopped. So I still had 2 timeouts. So we don't call the timeout. We run up over the ball. While we're running, I'm yelling the pass protection to the formation of the receivers, the pass protection to the offensive line. And as we're lining up, I make the play call to the receivers. Before the ball is even set for play, everybody knows their play. Everybody knows their position, like set and ready to go. So that once that official blows the ball ready to play, you snap the football and you waste no time. On that play, I stepped up through and hit the tight end Gieselman on about a 10, 12, 15-yard play, and he runs out of bounds. So we didn't have to use the timeout again. So we wound up with 2 timeouts in our pocket. We had a third play that went incomplete. But my whole premise was, let's get the ball near midfield. So I don't think we have enough time to make a real drive, obviously. So let's get the ball to midfield and take a shot at the end zone. But the point is that you can get up over the ball, but there's so much control now at both levels, NFL, college, and everything is analytics. And they've got this chart in front of them and they got to call play. There's no genius to play calling.
Right.
Call something the guys are comfortable with. They know like the back of their hand and they will execute. And that was always my deal in 2-minute offense, especially when I was calling my own plays. I call my own plays in Canada for the most part. And you call what you're confident in, what I throw well, what they run well, what got, and so there's not a lot going on. They're playing full speed. And that's the genius of play calling, is letting your guys play at full speed. But we got the midfield, Lynchy.
All right. So at midfield, you used one of you went over the sideline, right?
Did we go up? Yeah, we must have used.
You went over the sideline, yes. And so
Yeah, we were.
What was it? 25 tip flood tip or something like
55 that? Was our protection with both backs. That meant both backs to the same side.
Okay.
So 55 flood tip, which was 2 backs to the right for max protection, or the back to the right, the tight end in on the back side. Well, when we were lining up, a couple of things happened. They had a man in press over Gerard. Kelvin Martin was on the outside, and he was the uncovered guy. So he was probably going to get down the field first. Well, there was an inadvertent whistle. So they blew the play dead, talked about it, picked up the flag, no penalty on the play for whatever reason. Now the guy, during this time, I go over to Pete Casparillo, who was the tight end on the backside. I say, hey, Pete, they're only rushing 3. Release, go long, get wide. I might come back to you. Go wide and long. Just stay down, because I was hoping I'd roll right. Maybe everybody would flow and I'd have a chance to look backside. The other thing that happened was at the last second, now we're lining up again. The guy that was over Gerard walked out over Kelvin Martin, figured he's the faster guy, I got to jam him, which allowed Gerard to be the guy down the field first. I rolled out all that, threw the ball came through, the safety went up to make a play, the backside corner jumped, bumps into the free safety, the ball goes through them, Gerard just sees it for a fraction of a second, it brushes his face mask on the way down, and he catches it in his lap and makes the play. For 35 years, Pete Casparillo is coming up to me since the locker room. We had a chance. We had a chance on the backside. We had a chance. We did a 35th anniversary interview, and I saw a different camera angle, and I've got the still frame on my phone now to show people. Pete Casparillo is all by himself on the 10-yard line on the backside. If I just put my foot in the ground, thrown back, he would have walked in.
Wow. How many times did that play actually work in practice?
In practice, I don't know that. It would work like 1 out of 5. We'd catch it. They'd intercept 2 of them. The ball be on the ground. But we'd run it 3 times live. At the end of the year against Notre Dame in the Liberty Bowl, we ran one at halftime. and I threw it. Brian Brennan was running the back of the end zone, and it was a sheet of ice, if you guys remember, around that Liberty Bowl field.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Brian was afraid of the ice. There was a cement wall. He's eyeing the ball, and the ball went right through his hands, and he slid into the wall, and it incomplete. We ran it at the end of the half against Temple earlier in the year, senior year, and it looks identical to the Miami pass, and Gerard caught it. So we were 2 for 3.
That's pretty good.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
but
good.
you know, if you were 1 for 3 or 1 for 10, it doesn't matter. It was the one.
It was the right one. Yeah, the guys do it all. I don't know if because of the rule changes and what goes on, or guys just run it better now. A lot more are being completed. Aaron Rodgers is doing it every other week.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. It was there. It was on national television. It was the day after Thanksgiving. It had a huge audience, and it did a lot for a lot of people. No more than you and Gerard and Dan Davis, the radio announcer.
Dan Davis's call was pretty good, pretty darn good. Huh? You know, we all remember that. Our generation remembers all that stuff. You know, Dan. I don't know. It was, what was funny was it felt like, it was an emotional win. It was a big win, blah, blah, blah. And in the locker room, the celebration, I didn't realize how big a deal it was going to be until we got back to Boston and landed, and the scene at the airport. And you guys know more than anybody, it's a pro sports town.
Yeah.
Right. Boston's a pro sports town, not a college town. And to have people, thousands of people at the airport waiting, and the scene getting on the buses. They took Gerard's girlfriend, Lisa, and my girlfriend, Laurie, our wives were there. So we all were trying to get through the crowd to the bus and couldn't. They pushed us into a state trooper's car. It was like Beatles stuff, people pounding on the car.
Laurie said that was Laurie's first away game that she went to.
That was the first game she'd gone to.
She's first away game that she ever went to.
She never went. It was Thanksgiving weekend, very family oriented. Her parents were probably mad at her for going, and all that. And it just, there was a reason she was there. It's just the whole thing. My mom was the only one that gave up on us. You know that. My mom
Really?
did not stand up to watch the last play. That mom, she's a pessimist.
I got to do this commercial, and I will in just a second. And Mike's got a big question to ask you after the commercial. But let me just ask you something to mull on. And I'll just recite some statistics. A 21-year pro career, 12 in the NFL. It's hard to believe, but I remember the drop kick as it just went on. 8 in the CFL, USFL. So we're talking about a 21-year career. Then, of course, the awards. This Grey Cup, 6-time Canadian Football League Player of the Year, basically MVP. The Grey Cups that you won, the 3 of them. Then the Pro Bowl and the Comeback Player of the Year in the NFL. The drop kick. And of course the pass. The pass. Of all the things, then the Heisman and the Maxwell. I'm really selling you short here because the college football, all the Hall of Fames, like 3 Canadian Hall of Fames, and college football Hall of Fame. I can't go into the Hall of Fame. There's not enough room in your house for all these trophies. So I'm asking you, what would you hang your hat on if say, well, this gave you the most excitement. This was the most meaningful thing that ever happened to you.
College was amazing. The whole experience and winning the Heisman still may be number one. I'm not sure, but for a professional career, we won our first 2 things. We won our first championship up in Calgary. We had to go 80-something yards into the win. Needed a touchdown to win with a minute to go and no timeouts, and went the length of the field to win that game, which ultimately went to the Grey Cup and won my first championship. That was huge for me. The other part was coming back to Buffalo, coming back to the NFL, and making my first start against an undefeated Jacksonville team, first start in the NFL in 9 years. And again, going the length of the field with no timeouts and running the ball into the end zone on 4th down to win that game kind of rekindled my career back in the NFL. That kind of kickstarted it off, and here we go. So those were very important moments to me career-wise. It's fun that I had the Hail Mary and the drop kick as these bookend moments in my career. That's kind of a cool thing. But as far as important moments, those were very important moments in my career.
It makes sense that you would say it was something on the field as opposed to the award ceremonies, that it was moments on the field. You certainly had that drive. Let me do a spot here, and Michael asked you the question. We'll get back to some of this, and I'm sure Lynchy will deal with much of the second half. But campers, go ahead and take advantage of your year-end savings at Cold Springs RV. Great deals on 2024 models that are now in stock. Go check out the latest in pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheelers, and motorhomes. Winter storage, so important for your RV. Protect your RV with winterizing at their Pro RV Service Center, and get to at Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire, and tell them that Lobie and Mike Lynch sent you. Learn more about coldspringsrv.com. So that's the place to go in Ware, New Hampshire. Doug,
Where
Doug, of course, made number 22. We're quite famous. Tell me about Mike's question. This is probably the biggest
All right,
part.
here's the question. We know John Madden had the Madden Cruiser because he didn't like to fly. So we're trying to get Cold Springs RV to build us a Lobie Cruiser to take across country. So we're going to give each of our guests the use of the Lobie Cruiser when it's finally built to drive cross country. But you have to designate one person to ride shotgun with you all the way across the country. It could be alive, like deceased. It could be past, present. It could be a sports figure, historical figure, whoever you want. Who would you want to ride cross country with? Who you think would make a good conversationalist, or someone you'd like to talk to?
Yeah, I'm going to go back. My parents were Baltimore. Grew up in Baltimore. We grew up Baltimore Colt fans and Oriole fans and all that. So I got to go back to one of my childhood heroes. So let's go Johnny Unitas.
Really?
Yeah, let's go childhood hero Johnny. I had a chance at 5 years old. I was at Baltimore Colts training camp, and Unitas had thrown a ball over to the sideline to Willie Richardson, and it went over his head and rolled to me out of bounds, and I picked it up and I threw it back to Willie, and that was like the moment, like that I was like, I want to play football. It's like, yeah, Unitas yelled at Richardson. I remember hearing the quarterback yell at the receiver, "Why'd you stop running, Willie?" So it was like the whole moment, like all those little things fell into place, and I was like, I met John Unitas' son a couple of times, but I never got a chance to meet John, like sit and talk with him.
That's a great answer. It really is. It really is a great answer. Let me ask you this: the drop kick. At what point during the week did you or Belichick, who brought it up first and said, if we get the right moment in the game, we're going to give this a shot?
We were practice. Chris Berman was at practice doing interviews that week. It was about 3 weeks before the end of the year. And he and Belichick from across the sideline kept like eyeing me. After practice, I go in and say, "Coach wants to talk to you." I go into Belichick's office. He's sitting down. Berman's standing behind him, beaming, arms folded, big smile. And Belichick goes, "Can you drop kick?" And I'm like, "I can do it. What's going on here?" So Berman had always seen me messing around doing it during pregame. And so he brought attention to Belichick. Belichick asked me about it. So the next day he said, "We're going to practice it." We kicked it a couple times in practice. I hit the upright. I made one, and I kicked the center in the ass with the third. Right? He goes, "Oh, it's something to work with." So he wanted to do it on Monday night against the Jets. And he put me in at quarterback. We were up by a few scores, and I went in at quarterback, and we were around midfield. He wanted to do it as a field goal. But we got like 1 or 2 first downs. It was going to be like a 43-yard field goal or something, so we didn't do it. And we totally forgot about it. Nobody talked about it for 2 weeks. Didn't even bring it up. And I was standing there. Now, the last game against Miami was basically a meaningless game. He started Matt Castle. I was kind of hoping he might start me as my last hurrah, but that didn't happen. So I sat there, 43 years old, 20-degree weather, cold, back's tight, all that for 4 hours, whatever it is. And he looks over at me with 5 minutes to go. We're about to score. He's like, we score here, you kick it. And he didn't even get the sentence out of his mouth, and we were in the end zone. And I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, go kick it. I ripped the jacket off. I found the ball and kind of punched one into the stands or against the wall and jogged out. That was my warm-up. And we lined up to do it, and I sort of worked my way back deep. I started in shotgun and worked back, so they were thinking we were going for 2. Zach Thomas calls timeout on defense. So I'm like, okay, it served a purpose. They wasted a timeout. We're not going to do this thing. And I start to go to the sideline. Brady, Brewski, Belichick, everybody like waving me back out. Like, no, we're doing this. I'm like, oh my God, son of a gun, we're done. So I get in the huddle, and the guys, now they were already the Patriots. They were already Super Bowl champions a couple of times. Tom was Tom, all that. They were acting like a bunch of little kids at Christmas. They were all fired up. I was a nervous wreck. I'm like, I got to kick this thing. If I miss it, this is the last play of my career, I'll screw this. I got to live with it. And so like Lonnie Paxson was the long snapper. Lonnie goes to me. He goes, hey, Keith Trailer, 325 on his nose. Like, Lonnie's about 220, long snapper. He's like, Keith's going to kill me. He's like saying, what are you doing in the game with Flutie in it? I'm like, just tell him what we're doing. Chill out. Don't. So winds up, a lot of these little conversations go on. I fake it, whatever, drop back. Guy named Bam Childress, I think his name was a wide receiver that we just activated for that game.
Yeah.
On him out of the corner. Sam's like, you're running a fade, aren't you? He's like, no, I'm not running. Watch the slant. No, check this out. This is going to be cool. You got to watch this. Like, these conversations were going on. And
Doug, they've never seen one. They never saw it before. This is something they've never seen in football before.
So I work my way back. I kick it. Trailer doesn't blow up Lonnie. Lonnie steps through. Zach Thomas steps up to hit Lonnie, looks up, sees the ball go through. He's like, what the was that? That's a drop kick, mother. Anyway, so I go to the sideline. I'm going to give Belichick a hug, right? He let me do this thing, whatever. Well, guys are high-fiving. I meet up with my daughter and my wife, Laurie and Lex, and Lex comes up to me and says, you blew off Tom Brady on national TV. I'm like, what? She goes, you blew off Tom. Tom came out for a high five. I went right by him to So Berman loves to tell that story. Berman loves to let people know he was a big part. It wouldn't have happened without Chris Berman.
Wow. You should have had one of these. The square toe.
I used the square toe in high school.
Yeah, I did too. This is the one I used in high school and college.
You kicked in college, Mike?
Yeah. Yep. And still have it. And I kept the one. I kept my high school one. They kept buying me new one in college. I said I like my high school one, and I kept it all the way through.
That's awesome.
Doug, let me ask you these questions.
Go get it.
Politically active. You signed with the generals and Donald Trump.
Yes.
That was the USFL was a big experiment. They tried to get the jump on the NFL. They had the foresight of knowing what the future held for the football audience. Tell about your relationship with Trump. Well, there you are right there.
Yeah. Back then, I was a 22-year-old kid. It was a chance to sign and have financial security, all that. And that's Walt Michaels on the side as well. I was afraid of Trump back then. I was like a shy, quiet kid that yes, sir, no, sir. And it was years later when I was playing in San Diego. I went on the Letterman show, I believe it was. And it just happened to be the same night that Trump was on. And we met in the green room in the back, and we were just sitting and talking. And that was the first time that, as an adult, that I just sat and had a conversation. And, we were like, not that you're ever on equal playing ground with Donald Trump, but just felt like a normal conversation to me where I wasn't afraid of the guy.
So what about the other Scott Brown? You were politically endorsed. Herschel Walker was, your controversial endorsement. And what about your own plans to run for office? I'm dead serious about this because
no, never run for office. You can't win. You can't win. And from my friend, like Scott Brown he went to BC Law, and I used to play basketball with Scott. I supported Scott. Herschel Walker, good friend for 30 years, 40 years. I'm going to be there for Herschel. He went through a lot trying to do what he thought was right, and they tried to rip his life apart. It's amazing. I want nothing to do with that world. And the guys that I know that have made it to office, to the Senate, it's like you don't have a vote of your own. You vote the party line. You don't vote with your conscience. You vote how you're told to vote. It's just a nasty, nasty business, that world, and I don't like it.
I can understand that.
But I will always support my friend.
I heard you say that about Herschel Walker. I thought that was really admirable at the time. And well, anyway, you did what you thought was right, and for you it was right, and for him it was right, and that was the most important thing.
It was. It's a weird time we're living in right now, and politically, I'm not going to get into anything deep, but we are at a very, very pivotal point in the history of our country right now. Very pivotal.
I think we all feel it. I think it makes everybody just a little uneasy.
Yeah.
Or maybe a lot uneasy. Go ahead, Lynchy. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what I want to ask. We went through the drop kick. We went through BC. We went through the USFL. Playing for Mike Ditka, what was that like?
That was scary. You thought I was afraid of trouble. Holy mackerel! Although he was great to me, he really was. It just on game day he was so hot-headed and irrational and just lose it. And the times that I got to play for him, I've been there a couple of weeks. I've been there. The first time I played, I was there for like 9 days, and I'm starting against Detroit on a Monday night game or playing. Oh, what happened was Tom Zach he strained something, his calf or whatever, and I had to go in after the first series. He basically played the whole game, and I had been there for 5 days or whatever it was. But Mike's been, every time I've ever run into him, he's always been very supportive of me, and I loved the opportunity to play there in Chicago and be a part of that. Jim McMahon and I, it was a rocky road back then. We were at each other's throat a little bit, or he was at my throat and I had my mouth shut. But Jim and I played golf together in Tahoe 5 years straight. He's in rough shape right now he had a surgery with his ankle or his foot that had a bad infection. That was last time I saw him was at Super Bowl last year at a golf tournament, and he really couldn't even walk. He had these crutches things and couldn't swing a club, anything. So I'm hoping. I haven't talked to Jim in a little while, but he and I are cordial and get along fine.
I'm told we have a video of a pooch punt, I think. Is that right?
Anyway, so I go to the sideline. I'm going to get Belichick on how ready to do this thing. Well, guys are high-fiving. I meet up with my daughter and my wife, and Lex comes up to me and says, "You blew off Tom Brady on national TV." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You blew off Tom came out for a high five. I went right by him to go." Berman loves to tell that story.
That was a classic, huh?
It was. I ran. If it had kept going, I ran to the sideline and blew off Brady on the high five.
Yeah, but you may be the last guy to get Bill Belichick to smile.
That's
that is the number one comment out of that whole clip. Is people like, "Oh my God, I've never seen Bill smile. Oh, you made Bill smile."
it was a genuine smile. It wasn't fake or anything else.
I sat the bench the whole year there. I'm behind Tom. I had the pom-poms out, rooting for him to win me a ring, whatever. So the first time that I kind of felt a part of that team and made some guys smile and did something on the field. So it was kind of a cool bonding moment for me with the team as far as just being a part of it, Really, the fact that, Bill's a historian of the game. He loves all the things that go on in all the little quirky things you can do. So it was a cool moment.
He probably knew who drop kicked the ball in 1941.
Scooter somebody. And Berman was prepared. Berman came to Belichick with all that information. So look at the smile. Bill was actually smiling. Can we get back to that, Bill? Come on. We need Bill to find a reason to smile. Oh, because the guys in the organization, the guys on that team, I loved all of them. I still run into Teddy Bruschi a lot, doing charity work and other things. It just it hurts me to see the Patriots struggle.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, I love Mac Jones, and I think he's a great kid. I think he's smart. I think he's got the ability to excel, and I just, you got to get out of a rut. It's so hard. It's so hard to pick yourself up when things are going bad.
You think he needs to change of scenery, Mac? Do you think he needs to go someplace else and start over?
For his stamp, he's changing offenses every year anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wouldn't hurt. It for some reason it does rekindle the juices. It does, and it makes no sense, right? You should be able to do that at your own place, right? You should be able to pick it up next year and start over. And for some reason, it doesn't always happen that way. I was always jealous of Tom because Tom got to stay in the same offense forever.
Yeah.
And just keep building on it. It just becomes second nature to you. And you just call on things instinctively and do things naturally. And that Mac hasn't had the chance to get to that. And the other thing I'll say about the Patriots is when I was in Buffalo, I had Eric Moulds as a dominant receiver on one side of the field. You need that one guy that they are afraid to put in one-on-one coverage, that can dictate coverage, that can dictate in man coverage. Yeah, I'm going there. And the Patriots have not, even Tom didn't have that a lot. He had that for a little while with Randy Moss at the end of his career. Other than that, Tom was, pick him apart, work it down the field, hit the open guy. He didn't have a guy that said, okay, the ball's coming, go get it. A Terrell Owens, I don't know, those type of guys.
So what, in retrospect, what made Tom the quarterback that he was, and what makes Zach Wilson the quarterback that he is?
The thing that makes Tom is he's a very cerebral guy on the field. You can't give him too much information. I want to be instinctive. Yeah, I study, I do my checks, but Tom always was one half step ahead, and the ultimate accurate with the ball too. Just put the ball where he wanted. We were playing Pittsburgh, and we were getting beat up front most of the game, and we were trailing going in the fourth quarter. This is the year I was with New England. Tom just put the team on his back and threw the ball earlier. He was getting hit all day. They start blitzing him. He just put his foot in the ground, throw it early with the anticipation and a little touch. And all of a sudden the guy's going, come out of the break. The ball's right there. He goes 11 for 11 in the fourth quarter. We score 2 touchdowns and win the game. He had that ability. The game was slow. Like the game around him was slow. He probably felt like he had all kinds of time making these decisions. He was just a cerebral guy with the ultimate competitor too. I don't know Wilson's game that well. I really don't. I haven't watched much. Honestly, I don't watch a ton of NFL anymore.
Did Tom, when you got here, you had a perception of Tom. You had seen him from afar. Now you are in the quarterback meetings with him. You're at practice with him every day, and then you're with him on Sunday. Was there a wow factor there?
The things that amazed me about Tom were, number one, his work ethic. I'd walk in, he's rewatching film of his throwing motion during training camp, of how he can get better. Calls his quarterback coach to come from wherever it was to work with him on his. Now he's already won 2 Super Bowls by the time I got there, and all those little things that he just never quit working at. And the real wow moment for me was that Pittsburgh game, because we were getting physically beat. And he just got, he threw a comeback like you throw a 3-step drop. He just took his drop, put the foot in the ground and lobbed it. And the receiver goes down, makes a move, comes out of the break, and the ball's there because he knew he's getting hit. And he stood in there and made those throws. And this is something that happens as you get old. Like when you're young or you're in your prime, you hold on to the ball a little bit sometimes and move within the pocket to allow a route to develop down the field and make that big play. And what I found for me as I got older was I gave up on those downfield routes a little too early sometimes and got the ball out of my hands and hit the check down or did this or did that. And I think that Tom in his last season or two started doing a little bit of that. But whenever the game was on the line, he reverted back to being himself and doing whatever he had to do to get the ball off the field and to make the plays. So I think I saw a little hint of it in Tom, but when he needed to do it, he still did it.
Wow.
How's the foundation doing?
Better.
Let's talk a little bit about the Doug Flutie Foundation and why it exists and what you guys have been able to do.
Well, I've been out of football for 17, 18 years, and we are stronger than ever, which absolutely amazes me. The people of Boston especially are the ones that have supported us so much from the beginning. Foundation for Autism, we support a lot of families, and services for families is our primary concern. We had our 25th anniversary this year and had the party at Fenway Park. It was absolutely amazing. We have a lot of the kids that are on the spectrum that are singers, entertainers, play guitar. So we had kind of a little mini concert at Fenway with all the kids. And it was just, Nick Severese has taken over as our director, and he has done a phenomenal job of combining a lot of online stuff. Like everything used to be in person. COVID did us a favor. COVID went from, well, we got to do everything virtual now. Well, we realized, you know what, you can raise as much money virtually as you can in person. And so now we've kind of combined the two and done extremely well. I think I ran my last marathon last year. I think I'm done with that stupidness. I got bad knees, but our foundation has 20 or whatever numbers for the marathon every year, and we raise a lot of money at marathon. So it's just been great. Things have just kept going, and I was worried that when I retired that things would die off, and it just hasn't happened.
Well, good. I mean, that's testimony to your staying power and to the belief that people have that this can be not necessarily cured or whatever, but the families can be given the assistance and support that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, the people, especially the New England area people, have been the forte or been the strong supporters of us from day one. And it just amazes me the loyalty that they had. So I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Dougie's doing great. Dougie's 31 years old. Doesn't have speech. He's low functioning, but the happiest kid in the world. I get him on a surfboard once in a while, push him in the waves. He loves being in the pool. He's active. Horseback ride a little bit. So he's doing well.
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. What time's your game today?
We just played one this morning. I actually left in the ninth inning. We were winning 2-0. And I got a text while we're doing this that we won 2-1. We held on. They didn't have me out there to make any more errors at short, so we held on.
So the Lobel Lynch jinx did not work, right?
We tried. Actually, I was a little afraid to be on the field at the end of the game. I wanted to get out of it.
Let me read this quick spot, and we'll let you go. If you're thinking about a new car, go where Lobel and Lynchy go. Go see our good friend, the Big Wheel, George Gray, at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. Lobel and Lynchy have been customers for years because we know George Gray will treat you right. They're family-owned and operated dealership that we trust, and you can trust as well. Go see the Big Wheel himself, the great George Gray of Lexington Toyota. We saw him last week at dinner. In fact, I might see him tonight. I have to go speaking at a function over in Lexington. And I know that George is a big fan of Doug Flutie and always has been. And he's thrilled to have you on here. The big question now is, back in the day, did the Flutie household watch the news on Channel 4 or Channel 5? That's
there was no loyalty anywhere in that household. It was who runs like back and forth. Who's running the clips first? Who's talking about Doug? My dad's got to get it all. Okay. Oh, Lobie started first. Okay, we're watching. There's the clip. Okay, get over there. Channel 5. Oh, where's Newmeyer? Wait, where is it? He needed to see. My dad listened to the talk shows. My dad watched every clip you guys put on. But over the years, it's been amazing. It was different back then. We were all close. We all knew each other by first names, and Lobie, we talk about it all. You know, you guys had a little more creativity back then, the more window to have creativity.
You think?
And some of the
Hey.
highlight packages you would do, and the one that my parents absolutely adored, Bob, was the one that you did to the Rainbow song.
The Rainbow Connection, yeah.
Yeah, the Rainbow Connection one. My parents always loved that. Thank you.
Well, that's really sweet. I'm sure it was a Newmeyer thought. Newmeyer, I know one of his best days was in the end zone. He was right in the end zone when Gerard made the catch with our photographer, Tom Raycamp. And I think that shot that Raycamp had, it was a genius photographer shot. It was stayed on you.
Just jumping up and down.
Stayed on you. Numi was jumping up and down. Yeah. The Raycamp shot stayed on the quarterback, followed the football all the way into Gerard's hands. To me, it was a video classic. I know you know the shot. You must have seen it 100,000 times.
Yep, I've seen all these shots. And like I said, I found out something new 35 years later, that the tight end was open.
I was telling these guys, Lobie was asking me about, we were talking about scoops that we had over the years. And I told him the story how we were sitting in the Holiday Inn in Orlando, and you were sitting on the couch to do a live shot. And I just told you Brian Sipe got traded. Remember that?
Oh, yes. Oh, my.
And it was like live television, you know. And I said, "Oh, I hope he doesn't swear." I know Doug doesn't swear, but he may go, "What the f," you know? And
Brian, Brian Sipe was the starting quarterback for the New Jersey Generals. General signed me to this big contract,
right?
And I'm thinking, okay, I'll go in, I'll learn for a little bit, and they'll put me in soon. But no, first day, Brian Sipe's traded. So how's this going to training camp? They trade your starting quarterback. They bring in this kid who just signed the biggest contract ever, hasn't had to go through doubles like everybody. And since he's new and he needs to start, we're going to make everybody go through an extra week of double sessions. Popular was I.
Who was your coach back? Who was your coach?
Walt Michaels.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Walt, I don't like saying Walt, like to have a drink or two. He's an old school coach. And one of the first, I just remember the night before meeting, we're all in the meeting, and you just hear somebody in the back of the room just snoring away, Psalm Wood. It's Walt Michaels in the back.
Unbelievable.
That was my introduction to pro football. Was first halftime, come into the locker room at half, we're down by a score or two to the LA Express, which was Steve Young's team. And walk in the locker room, 8 players sprinted into the locker room in the back corner, older guys smoking butts. They're lighting up their cigarettes already in the car. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Did you ever have any coaches? I mean, between Bicknell and all the way through, I know Coughlin might have been a disciplinarian, motivated by fear. I think maybe Parcells or Belichick would. You didn't have Parcells, but I think Bill Belichick is a fear-based guy.
Ditka had a little of that. Belichick had a little of that, but I was much older by the time I was with Belichick. If I'd been a rookie with Belichick, I would have been scared stiff. I was still a little nervous.
I get it, but
no. And I think my favorite coaches were the guys that wrapped the 2 years I spent in Toronto. We won 2 Grey Cups, and it was the head coach was just easygoing, relaxed. But he said, Doug. He brought me in with John Jenkins was the offensive coordinator. John Jenkins was the University of Houston with Andre Ware. All right. He was a spread him out flyer. So he brought in John Jenkins. I was new. John sitting there. John was new to the team. This is my second season. He says, John, this is Doug. Doug, this is John. Doug, this is your offense. John, stay the hell out of the way. He says, Doug, if you throw 5 interceptions, you know what? You're going to have a chance to throw 6 because you're not coming out. And that was all I needed to hear. You know, that just freed you up to go play.
Was the CFL, because of the rules, much more conducive to your style of play?
It was. You know what it is? It's what they're doing now with the young kids. There was more space on the field. Yeah, there is room. There's no doubt about it. But the spread offense, we were going empty back in the early 90s. And quarterback, me being a quarterback, I put in the quarterback runs. And then if we have the shovel pass called and he closes down, you run a flat in the fade, and that became an RPO. We were doing all that stuff in the mid 90s. And just wheeling and dealing. It's all the stuff that they're doing now in the NFL. So I think it's more the style of the game. And I would love to try to play, not now, not at 89 years old, but I'd love to play in the style of offense they're running now.
Where, by the way, where is that construction hammering coming from? Is that
me? It's outside of me.
Okay, all right.
No, I don't take responsibility for it, but I'll claim it because
I had an engine running in the car I just killed. I'm
I love
in the car.
I really thought
pals. This is awesome.
I really thought you were homeless when I saw your setup right here. I thought you were in a tent on the sidewalk.
Hey, it's not out of my realm. I could be.
Well, this was great, Doug.
In Florida, but I could be homeless tomorrow. Who knows?
So Lynch, walking down. I'm playing golf at Maplewood. Okay, down in. I'm just walking down the golf. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, who's coming up behind me? But Flutie and Burton. Remember? I don't know what the hell that was. It must have been 20 years ago or 15 years ago or what. It was a while ago.
We used to Burton's got his connection with every golf course and wants to go play golf all the time.
He does. No, he absolutely does.
He does. Yeah.
Usually for free, actually. Usually it's for free.
He's been a good friend forever.
I know. Yep. Anyway, I just remember that Maplegate moment.
Yep.
Thank you, Doug.
We had a blast with you, Doug. I mean, we're going way back into the day in the early 80s all the way through. You've been a great guy and so easy to cover. And I know I probably speak for Bob, but we thank you for just being our friend and having fun with us.
Well, thank you for being there for me too, and it's been
one of a kind. That's for sure. You're one of a kind. That's really special.
Thank you.
All right.
Miss everybody up there. I get up all the time. Hopefully I'm going to try to get up for the Miami game. BC plays Miami in a couple of weeks, and that's like the Friday the 24th when we were Friday the 23rd. So
right.
Everybody will make a big deal about it, but
they should.
I'm hoping to get up there.
Good.
And they should. Great. Absolutely. Great.
All right.
You guys, great talking with you.
All
right.
Everybody,
Dougie too. Thanks.
Don't forget to check us out on UnAnchoredBoston.com.
Right. Our poll. Right. By the way, don't forget our poll.
Don't forget our poll. Okay.
Yeah. Which team is more dysfunctional, the Red Sox or the Patriots? Okay.
Well,
good.